Okay, so we're going to talk about Dave Asprey's Bulletproof Diet. So really, let me share a little bit about Dave Asprey. I read his book. Well, I kind of partially read it and also listened to it on audio. And he is a very wealthy man, but was really suffering from a tremendous amount of ill health and being tremendously overweight. So he kind of used himself as a guinea pig and started, trying to drill down and figure out, he tried everything under the sun to be able to try to figure out what is the best way. And what he came up with was it all boils down to mold, and that there's too much mold in our food and the mold makes us ill. And so he really tested all kinds of different things to be able to determine where is that mold coming from and what is that mold. And so then he set the rules in Bulletproof as to how you should be eating your food in order to be able to avoid that mold or have the least exposure to mold as possible. So he's famous for the Bulletproof Coffee, which I did drink for 2 weeks. And the good thing was it got me off of sugar. So I used to drink my coffees from Dunkin' Donuts extra, extra. And now I just drink it extra cream. So I didn't give up the cream, but I did give up the sugar. And so that was a really good thing. It's actually, the coffee tastes pretty good. It's kind of cool to drink. What you do is, now he recommends using his coffee, of course, and but otherwise he says to get a local coffee that is like homegrown and that is processed right there, so that you're getting it with the least amount of interference between the beans and your coffee pot. And so what you do is you brew the coffee and you put it in a blender with unsalted grass-fed butter and like a teaspoon of coconut oil. It's, did I write in what kind of coconut oil it is? It's branch chain, I think medium chain coconut oil is, I have to look it up. But, and of course he recommends his own coconut oil as well. And so then you put it in the blender, and when you put it in the blender, the butter really acts as your cream. It froths, so like the top of it is about this full for frothing, which is kind of cool. And it actually tastes like coffee. It tastes almost like a latte kind of coffee. So the key is, if you drink your coffee with sugar, you got to give up the sugar. And but other than that, the coconut oil, what that does is not only does it help to keep your system regular, but it's supposed to increase mental alertness. And the reason his coffee is so famous is because it gives you the coconut oil, and doing the Bulletproof Coffee, which he opened a shop down in San Diego, I think, Bulletproof Coffee Shop. But it's supposed to increase your mental alertness. It's supposed to increase your energy, and then it's also supposed to help in aiding in weight loss. So that's the coffee portion of it. He believes in grass fed, so you do grass fed butter, you do grass fed beef. When you do the grass fed, it's grass fed, grass finished if you can find it. Now more and more of the stores are selling it. Price Chopper in Lincoln is where I like to get it, because that's the only place that I can find that's actually grass-fed, grass-finished. But otherwise, Hannaford has the grass-fed beef. Walmart just started it. So grass-fed, they could be feeding it grass the cow's whole life, and then the 2 weeks or 6 weeks before slaughter, they start giving them grains to beef them up. And grass-fed, grass-finished means that they don't have anything but a grass-fed diet straight up until the time that they're slaughtered. And so the idea behind it is that if they're eating grass, that grass is vegetable, so that's really healthy for you, and then you're not getting any of the grain in the meat. Whereas otherwise, you have this cow that's been fatted up with grains, and grains aren't good for you, and so then you're getting that grain in the meat that you have. So that's the philosophy behind it. Is it's a healthier cow, healthier fats that you're getting from the grass fed, and he believes that if you're doing the grass fed butter and you're doing the grass fed beef, that's actually healthy for you. That's good fat. You don't ever have to worry about how much fat you're having. that you could basically eat it to your heart's content. Now, his diet is essentially an extremely low carb diet. You're not doing any grains at all. You're not doing any breads or pastas or anything like that. It is essentially fresh vegetables and meat. If you're doing poultry, that he recommends doing organic poultry. And if you are doing pork, it's a whole special, like he details it in his book, how it has to be, handled and slaughtered and cured and smoked or whatever it is, to be able to have the pork. So from my perspective, it's probably easier not to eat it or to just accept that you're not doing bulletproof when you do eat it. But then every vegetable you cannot have, because he believes that mushrooms are high in mold, onions, garlic. He calls them the nightshade vegetables, so that's eggplant, tomatoes. All of those, he says, are high in mold spores. And so as a result, what will happen is you will have ill health from eating these particular ones. And you can Google it, and you can even just find like a breakdown of, the crux of the Bulletproof Diet. But it's just a different way of thinking. And the reason that I bring up the Bulletproof Diet and saying, try something different is because it's what we're always working for, is to be able to create that mindset shift. And so it's breaking us out of what we normally do, getting our minds exposed to being able to try different things and say, okay, what else can we do? Now, where he does do an extremely low carb diet, 1 day a week, he says to have it, he calls it a refeeding day. And then you can have like some rice or some potatoes and so then, because you can't live forever without carbs or your body will actually start breaking down. So what he does is 1 day a week, you have a meal that has rice in it or potatoes in it or, one of the acceptable carbs, grains that he has in there. So the other thing that he recommends is intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting is basically, we're raised thinking breakfast is the most important meal of the day. He 100% disagrees. He feels that once you start feeding your body starts craving the food. And so when you can go spans of time without it, it allows some of the free radicals that we don't want a chance to really fully be able to get out of our system before we start eating again. However, he does not believe that fast is no food at all whatsoever. It is no carbs. And so now basically all of the carbs that you're getting in his diet are from your vegetables or your fruits, but he recommends more vegetables than fruits. And so you can have protein. You could have like your Bulletproof coffee in the morning. He actually recommends that to be your breakfast. And you can have, with women, he suggests having a couple of eggs because he said women's metabolisms are a little bit different than the men's metabolism. But you can have the protein as long as you don't have anything that is a carb at all. And you're supposed to go 15 to 18 hours without having any carbs at all whatsoever. Then you have that little, 6 or 8 hour window that you can just eat like, regular. And then you have your last meal 6 o'clock at night and you don't eat again until like noontime the next day. So that's kind of how he works the intermittent fasting, and that's what he recommends. For being able to just really boost the metabolism. And I think in his book, he'll say that, you can lose 10 pounds in 10 days if you follow the Bulletproof Diet or something like that. I did it for 2 weeks because I just wanted to see what it was. I like to just experiment with new things. And so I just did it. It was really, I thought it was good. I eat grass-fed beef all the time. Organic eggs, and eggs are actually really good for you. There is a thought out there that they're high in cholesterol, but the reality is it's good cholesterol that they're high in. So remember, our cholesterol breaks down into the HDL and the LDL, and the LDL is the bad cholesterol, the HDL is the good cholesterol. Well, eggs actually helps to boost your HDL, and so when that whole fallacy came out that eggs are bad for you because they're high in cholesterol, there wasn't an understanding in the differentiation of the cholesterol in actually the food that we eat, even though there is the understanding of it when they do your blood work. So But that is the whole of the short story version of the Bulletproof Diet. And, just think about, grass fed, say, okay, what can I incorporate in this next, week? Can I go ahead and try some grass fed beef? Do grass fed butter? You should try the Bulletproof coffee for a few days. It's interesting. Kerrygold is your grass fed butter, and you can get it unsalted. And you definitely want to do the unsalted grass fed butter when you're making your Bulletproof coffee. And you do literally put it in the blender, and you get a nice little froth. It's kind of cool. And then the coconut oil, and you can buy that. You don't have to get it through him, even though he wants you to. So that's it.